Welcome to Talk of the Town, proudly brought to you by Uniquely Nelson. I'm your host, Chris Butler. With me, Simon Duffy, General Manager of Uniquely Nelson. Good to have you here. Today, we're coming to you from Mango Restaurant on Hardy Street in Nelson, and I think the butter chickens will be arriving shortly. You've ordered those, haven't you, Simon? So
yeah, really hot for you, Chris.
Shouting
really
lunch.
Chris says hot for you.
Dislike is
yes.
more of a word. Joining us today is Edward and Laurie Durbridge Hunt. Fantastic to have you here from Cunningham Construction. So it's great to finally meet you guys. So first of all, can you tell us a little bit about both your backgrounds? So where do you originally hail from?
Yeah, absolutely. Yep. No, thanks for having us. Well, we're both from the area. I grew up in Appleby out of Richmond. Back then it was pretty rural, but there are houses right on the doorstep now.
It's pretty British, isn't it?
That's right. And my parents actually still live in the house that I grew up in. And I was born in that house actually on Appleby Highway. So yeah, went to Waimea College. Kicked around there, and then moved up to Auckland to chose this one really.
Oh, is that right?
For a few years. Laurie was up there studying. She'll tell you about that shortly. But and then so that's sort of where I hail from. Grew up on nursery, Willow Grove Nursery. I don't know if it's on Appleby Highway there. Mum decided to close it down when I was quite young, but he sort of potters around and has a bit of a retirement sort of hobby out there now. So it's about me really.
And what about you, Laurie?
Yeah, I'm from Nelson.
Yeah.
Grew up in Stoke and Richmond. Sort of a classic builders family. We moved around a few different houses. But yeah, and then went to Garran College and met him. Yeah.
Is that right? So, but you went to Waimea.
I went to Waimea. Laurie was at Garran, and just mutual friends, I guess. You start to kick around, and we met each other at 16. She hasn't got rid of me since, so it's quite nice for me anyway. 16 we sort of started kicking around, and some might say married pretty young from today's standards, but 21 we got married, and and here we are.
Still going.
Did you go to the school balls together? I went to Waimea.
Yes, we did.
Waimea, and we had they were fun days. That was in the 80s. That was in the 70s.
Oh, good.
I mean, one time they did a theme night. It was something they had put up cartwheels and they put candles on them. It was black and white was the theme. And they put up cartwheels and put candles on them, which is looked really great in the hall there, until we all got home and we all had wax all over. Never did that again.
Oh, no.
Did you go to each other's school balls?
Yeah, we did. Yeah,
I did.
2 or 3. Yeah.
Yeah.
We've got those photos. They're great.
Most I think our balls were mainly Waimea out at Seifried's at the time. And your balls.
I think they're all Seifried's.
That was flash.
Good fun out there.
It's very flash.
Somewhere else. So, your family comes from construction?
Yes. So my dad's the builder. He's a builder, and my parents always he was always self-employed and had a company.
And he would. Sorry.
Yeah, and then they had a little break from it, and they ran and started Bay Landscapes in Richmond.
Ah, right.
And then and then they got back into building.
Yeah,
and then they sort of invited when we were when we were in Auckland, we moved back. We were moving back, and Dad offered Eddie a job to come and be an apprentice. Yeah.
So that's my question. How did you get involved in construction? So it was kind of organically, really.
It was very organic. Yeah.
Absolutely.
So did you have a background in construction, or you were from the bottom up?
No, from the bottom up. Absolutely. Yep. So so my parents were horticulturalists. My dad, my mum's a kindergarten teacher.
Yeah.
And so when moved back to Nelson from Auckland, we'll give you a job, and that was my first experience at building at 2022-ish.
So you worked with your family for 70 years?
Yeah, been there from the ground up, as Laurie said, doing my apprenticeship, my time with John, Laurie's
I
dad.
guess it's like 15 years.
About 15 years, yep.
Yep.
Yeah, so that's sort of, yeah.
So Cunningham's is an extension. It's the same company,
Mhm.
but you're now running it.
Yeah, that's
That's,
right. Yeah.
That's right, yeah.
Yep.
So,
That's right.
Yep.
We took over a year and a half ago.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And it's predominantly residential, or there's commercial aspect to it? building?
Sort of commercial's not a big part of us. We do light commercial and fair bit of maintenance and fit outs and things on commercial, but mainly residential and new builds, new build residentials and
So Richmond at the moment would be sort of flavour of the month. When I say flavour of the month, the amount of extension or building that's going on out there, that's a big part of your business.
Well, to be honest, Richmond and
over the last few years, it has
the
been.
last few years, that's a good point. No,
Yeah.
absolutely. Like we've done fair few townhouses out in Richmond. So which is pretty cool to be involved in, which I think was awesome.
Yeah.
What we sort of need to do a bit more of, I think. But so it's cool to be a part of that. But predominantly last year, it's mainly been in Nelson. Yeah, renovations, lot of renovations this last year. Yeah.
So how did it come about, Cunningham Construction? So how did you evolve to, being an apprentice, good way for the father-in-law to keep an eye on you. And then the seed of the idea of, okay, well, actually we could create our was it an existing company, or did you sort of morph into your own identity?
Yeah, so Cunningham Construction was John and Sue Cunningham,
Right.
and so he, I guess for me personally, I never had the desire when I first started, hey, look, come have a job. I didn't have any concept of, oh, well, sweet, in a few years I'll be, taking over the company and doing that side of it. I didn't even process it or contemplate that. So I guess it's sort of a natural progression, really,
just slowly built. I think, is it when you started, it was just you and Dad?
Yeah, when I first started, just John and I just building residential houses one after the other and, fitting in renovations here and there. So I think great early on to, have that one-on-one sort of, all John's knowledge and experience to just see that firsthand, and it means you get a bit more of, let loose and, bit more responsibility when it's just the two of you, So I was very grateful for that. And then, John's sort of how we've got to where we are now with Laurie and I taking it over is, I guess it grew over the last sort of 15 years, where, John and Sue started employing more and more people. We're still a small family business by any means. We're not, and then, when, John sort of, getting to the age where, his body and retirement age needed to go and, do his next chapter in his life. We sort of decided to walk into it and take over. Continue the legacy, I guess, if you will. Or,
that's right. So, Laurie, for you, I mean, your family's been involved in construction, but when you went away to study, what was your plan?
That's a good question. I don't know if I might be the same. I didn't have too much future plans. I went and studied fashion, actually, at AUT in Auckland. So that was fun. It was a lovely few years. And then when we came back, I worked at Nelson Taylor's menswear doing alterations for a few years till we had babies. And so, but then it was an opportunity just to start stepping into the bookwork side of things with my mum and helping her just a few hours when I was at home with kids. And then it's just sort of grown from there. And I've just enjoy it. I've always sort of enjoyed that side of, numbers and keeping things tidy. Yeah.
So when you left Waimea College, you weren't thinking construction. What were you thinking?
Good.
How did you end up in Auckland?
Casing. That's right.
Hunting and gathering. Hunting and gathering.
A little bit of young man looking to experience and have a bit of fun. It's funny actually. So like growing up in Richmond, the last place, and I'd always joke about it, with people like, oh man, why would you want to? You've got this. You've got this beautiful place. You're growing up here. Why do you want to go hang out in Auckland? And then there you go. lo and behold, I'm off packing my bags off to Auckland. Predominantly as I say, chasing this one. I mean, why wouldn't I? But horticulture was sort of my jam early on.
Yeah.
I started working. I got my first job at 13 actually for a family friend, Peter Owen at Eyebright.
Right. Yeah.
Pricking out plants at 13, little trays and helping him in the gardens, and then obviously just half an hour here and there. But then once in my teenage years, helped him and worked for him for a long time. So I have a lot of respect for Peter, and he taught me a lot about work and horticulture. So I guess that was sort of my jam. I did a year after school with Connings Market Gardening, and then from there, went up to Auckland and carried on plants. Actually, did work for Rendercool Initial, which is a fairly big company. They do, cleaning products, but as well, I've got a company that does indoor plant hire.
Yep.
So I did that up in Auckland. That was actually pretty great to get out and about in Auckland, and every day we did from Whangarei down to Taupo, and everything in between.
That's a big Auckland.
Delivering plants. It's a big range. Yeah, that's right. So I think if I just had a job that I went to up in Auckland and didn't get out and about, it would be different. But I mean, it's a beautiful part of the country. Like there's so many. If you got Auckland itself, but you've got 45, sort of like Nelson, 45 minutes in any which way. Somewhere beautiful. So it's a great time of our lives to, early stages of adulthood to
big city
will grow, and exactly, always something to do.
So really, the apprentices become the masters because you've done your apprenticeship, but I mean you've obviously grown up with it with your mother, so there was a familiarity there. But when you started working alongside her, you started learning the processes.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah.
I learned all trying to learn all of her knowledge that she just has, it's slowly built up over the years, and that's they're a great asset to have.
So
Questions,
So what? So tell us, what do you offer, or what's your point of difference with Cunningham? I always think of Happy Days.
Richie,
Richie Cunningham. Remember seeing that? And actually say Happy Days. But anyway, back in the room.
So that makes him the Fonz.
What was the daughter's name? Erin. It could be Erin. Okay.
Well, it's going back a long way.
Yeah, it is.
You talked about the black and white ball in the 70s at Waimea. They didn't have colour then.
The colour wasn't invented then.
So what's your offer? What's special about yourselves, your business?
Yeah, that's great. Good question. I mean, I think the fact that we're pretty, we're a family-run business, so a big part of my ethos, I guess, is building is providing a service and producing something for someone, right? But really, the main thing that we focus on is really it's about people, right? I mean, sort of, like
it's the relationships you're building with people, and you're going into their homes, and it's quite intimate, really.
That's
and
right.
You're working with them over months.
Exactly. People are entrusting you with, in most cases, the biggest asset they're ever going to have,
Their future.
That's it. So, we really appreciate, the trust that it is between builder and, and clients. So, I think that's sort of a pretty big thing. From a service point of view, our team, we've got a in-house joiner. So, we try to do as much in-house as we can within reason. Of course, we've got great subcontractors that we, have built relationships over, and John's built relationships over his 30 years of building. So, and that's sort of carried on, to us. So that's pretty special. But we've got a fantastic sort of jack of all trades joiner. He's done everything in his working career, from kitchen, manufacturing, install. He done a fair bit of work in boat building down at the port. So, he's got some really great sort of, so boutique sort of joinery on our jobs, all can
all the wardrobes and
yeah,
in-house. Yeah.
that's right. So I guess from that point of view, that's something that we really yeah,
Is that a difference?
point of difference there.
Yeah.
Mm.
So is it? I mean, I can see on your shirt. I mean, it's residential, renovations, and commercial. So it's a real mix for you. There's not one genre that you're tending to do more of. Or?
Yep, that's right. Well, I'm under the mindset of I'd give anything a go.
Yeah.
Within reason, but I think the main drive of what we do would be renovations, alterations, and new residential builds.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
I mean,
But you get, I mean, these days you got like apartment buildings. It's almost like a commercial build, isn't it? So
that's right.
Yeah,
and the townhouses we build out in Richmond, 2-story joined townhouses were, I guess sort of, a bit more than just one-story residential home. So we certainly
and with the design side of things, are you mainly in the realm of most cases there's architectural plans to work off, and so it's you interpreting and asking questions, or do you also get involved in some design aspect as well? How does that work?
Great question. Yeah, I mean, we're quite fortunate. We've got Laurie here who has done a design degree.
Right.
In fashion.
Oh yes. Oh right.
She's got a
She knows
great,
aesthetics.
she knows how she knows how to look good, and she knows how to what works and what doesn't work.
Yeah.
But I guess we'll look at the plans. Like recently a plan came to us and it just wasn't quite resolved for what the clients wanted. And Eddie just really spent some time and you figured it out. You figured out a better solution, and
that's right. I think
but it always goes back to an architect to sort it out.
That's right.
To finalise it.
We've got some great architects that we have great relationships with, and if someone came to us and didn't have one already, then as I say, we work through the process from start to finish design with these architects that we work quite closely with. Both really. People can come to us with already architectural plans, and we can build on that, or I'm always under the mindset that it's really good to get a builder involved early on, even before design, so they can sort of put their construction sort of point of view across, and what might work and might not work within budgets and things.
And I guess one of the advantages of an independent builder is that changes on site, isn't it? Because sometimes the plan just doesn't work out, and it's you interpreting and saying, well, actually we could do it this way, and make some changes on the spot.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah.
So like Laura's saying, this latest work we've been doing. He'd already had some plans drawn up, but I just sat down with him and he wasn't quite happy with what he had, and I said, "Oh well, look, my experience. What if you tried this?" Or and
just more people thinking about the same thing.
Yeah,
solving the issues. Yeah.
So besides hammer and tong and then building construction here in Nelson, what do you do in your spare time? If you've got a young family,
we've got 3 kids, 13, 8, and 6.
Right.
She's just turned 6. So they keep us busy.
Keep you busy.
Yeah.
So spare time? We live in a beautiful part of Nelson.
We do. Yeah. We sort of try and get the kids out walking as much as possible. It's sort of our jam. It's probably tramping or day walks, or that's probably mostly
3 national parks to plan.
That's it.
Lakes,
beaches.
Yeah.
Nelson is, as I say, 45 minutes in a direction. You're somewhere beautiful. So any spare time, thankfully my kids, whether they've been forced into it or not, but they love getting out in the national park. And, my dad grew up, I think I did my first tramp at 3, and they,
to do it with them as well.
empowered into me the joy of what
The
we have to
outdoors.
offer, the outdoors and tramping. So certainly made a decision to try and impart that onto our kids. So definitely tramping is a big spare time thing when it happens. We recently got a dog stud start of the year. So talk about walking, like that's
That's a big part of our life.
Every day,
Yeah.
dog with a dog, every day.
Now it's great for that, isn't it?
Yeah.
There's so much beautiful walks around, within walking distance. So yeah, so
What sort of dog is it?
It's a blue heeler
Blue
cross.
heeler, you try.
Yeah,
Right.
so she's still quite young. She's a bit strong, and
Yeah.
but we're getting there.
Yeah.
we're getting there. Yeah, we
She's
got
a bit
her.
wild. She's a little bit wild.
We got her at not from puppy, so she was just under 1, and so obviously we didn't have her on those puppy years, but it's taken probably a year to really cement into her that this is her family, and she's calming down now. So, but Blue Heeler's a pretty intelligent, highly energetic dog. So certainly been a challenging year for that. But, there's been a lot of building repair done on our house this last year.
I know a good construction company.
That's right.
Yeah. A bit of design work.
Yeah.
So do your kids go to school here in, when I say here, not in Nelson or Stoke or Richmond?
Yeah,
You're living in Richmond or?
We live here in Nelson,
Nelson.
on the on Britannia Heights.
Yep.
So it sort of overlooks the port. So yeah, we love it up there. And our kids go to NCA up Marsden Valley.
Yep.
So all three of there have been there this year, which is pretty awesome. Just to have one
school.
So they're there for the 1 year. Next year, they get split up. Our eldest Willow is going off to Nelson Girls, so that'll be a fun learning curve for us all.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
So you live in Nelson, and you've done quite a bit of renovating in Nelson. So you've already talked about what you like about Nelson. So is there anything that you can see in the future that you'd like to see more of in Nelson?
I think we would have always appreciated more of a playground.
In town?
Yeah, I think like a sort of destination playground would have been lovely. Yeah, I mean, our kids would still love it, but in those early years, especially, I think. Yeah, I don't know. I heard a rumor about one going in near Trafalgar Park, but I don't know if that was. I don't know.
So you'd like to see something a bit more focused in Nelson itself
for families.
For families.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, some a bit more playgrounds would be lovely. Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, kids spaces.
Because it does occupy them, doesn't it? Because it's about keeping them occupied and getting that energy out in the playground. Just go for it,
Yeah, you go and do your chores, and then maybe say we'll go to the playground afterwards. And,
that's right.
Yeah.
It's a good
really
carrot.
There's the skateboarding one down by the library.
Yes.
Yeah, like I mean, that wasn't there for a few years ago. So
no,
that's definitely.
And then you got the place at one of McDonald's, but that's not really a playground.
Yeah.
That's really just to sell more food. It's interesting in the square mile in Nelson. If you got the Selwyn, Collingwood, Rutherford, there's not one blade of green grass stand on. There's Anzac Cathedral outside.
Interesting.
It's interesting.
It's interesting.
That's always been discussed with the council and so forth. Is the greenification of and also making the town more family orientated, especially for smaller children. There's always teenagers are a consideration, but for smaller children, like you just said, having a playground where you can see and sit back or be part of it.
Yeah.
It's interesting.
Because even the swing that's just down here, that's quite a big. That was quite a big win as well. You'd be like,
down in the little airplane.
It's just like it's just one swing. It was still like, okay, we'll go on the swing after we do this.
Yeah, you come shopping and but we'll go
one chain swing.
That's all it is, and they have to wait.
We'll set the timer on. You can have 3 minutes each.
Oh yeah.
So
so no,
those things that you appreciate so much as a parent.
You do, absolutely.
So the next 12 months, it's been interesting, obviously 12, 18 months in construction, but for the next year or 2 years, project-wise, anything on the horizon that's corn and gravy, slightly different for you?
Yeah, well, we're quite excited about Golden Elm Rise.
Yeah, there's a new subdivision in Toi Toi, Golden Elm Rise.
Yeah.
Which is up, top of Toi Toi. Yeah. The Adcocks are doing that one, and we're currently building a house in there at the moment. And so we're pretty excited about that. Really, like it's a subdivision that's pretty much closest to town you can really get at the moment. And like I say, Victory, Toi Toi area, it's such a beautiful community, and to have you talk to a lot of people, that have lived there for 30, 40 years, right? And so it's an awesome spot to be able to, build some new, warmer, dry homes. People that, even want to still live in that area but upgrade their home can still do that. So yeah, it's stage one's completed, and as I say, we're building a house up there at the moment. And I've just released stage two, I think, yet to commence work. But there's certainly a lot of houses going in there, and eventually the plan is for them to link it up to Princess Drive. So
oh wow, right,
so that would opens that up as well. So
yeah, because it's interesting because I was driving down through Victory, and I thought to myself, oh, should we go up? Can you go up over?
Yeah.
And you kind of can, but then you got to turn right and go. I'm hopeless with the name of the streets to go around.
Yeah.
Oh no, we'll turn right and then we'll just go at Washington. But it'd be interesting if there was a connection that you could just go.
That's
Yeah.
right. Well,
Yeah.
this will eventually link up with Princess Drive.
Yeah, right.
As you say. So yeah, I agree. It's sort of
Especially for those people that live up there,
Big time, yeah.
because normally they would have to do the big.
absolutely,
the
and
big
it's
roundabout.
quite long. We're doing renovation up top of Princess Drive at the moment, and yeah, you forget how long it actually takes. From Nelson,
Yes.
it's sort of like, oh, well, actually, I'll just pop up there. And it's sort of like 10
Where
minutes
you at?
later, you're up there.
Yeah.
You forget how long it is. So yeah, so that'll be quite cool for
Yeah.
people that live up there. And
Oh, must go
just
for a
pop up
drive,
there.
have a look. Yeah.
It's quite
So
lovely.
yeah, we're pretty excited about that new subdivision up there. And we've got another renovation coming up this year. Well, we're actually doing some work there at the moment, but that he's proposing to sort of do he's up on the hill to do a sort of cantilevered steel sort of 3-car garage, which would be a bit of fun to be involved with.
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
right.
So sort of, that's sort of.
Well,
what
that's
we've got
good. So
coming up.
prospects over the next 12 months looking pretty good.
Yeah, it's looking pretty good. Yeah,
That's good.
absolutely. Yep. No, there's
And we were talking off camera before about, the building industry, how it's taken a bit of a dive. I mean, it went from normal to crazy and then maybe coming back to normal a little bit, but obviously with interest rates and the recession, it's been harder. But a few signs of maybe the wheels starting to turn a little bit more again. Is that your impression?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, certainly. I think so. Yeah, certainly for us. This year, there were, a couple of months where it was sort of like quite light for us. Whereas normally we'd have, sort of, as you say, 12 months sort of work ahead of us, and especially coming from, those crazy few years.
Yeah.
You just it was nuts. It's undescribable. And and so, I kind of think of it as, well, we're sort of just gone back to normality almost to what it was, and we've sort of forgotten what normality used to be.
Yeah.
But for as a whole, I think, with the Reserve Bank,
Dropping the rates.
And all that sort of stuff, then I think we're seeing people that have maybe just sat on the fringes, like, I want to do this, but we'll just hold off a little bit. And then I think those sort of people are
Starting to come forward.
starting to come forward and say, hey, look, I better start to actually think about, putting this in motion. So, yeah.
Very good. Well, it's been an absolute pleasure to meet you guys. And
Thank you.
fantastic to be able to get some insight into your background and the journey for you too, which is an evolution for the family reason. The next generation coming through, really, isn't it?
Right, yeah.
And
we've got 3 more coming. I hope.
well, that's right. Yeah, whether or not they'll pick up a hammer, who knows? That's the big question, isn't it? But great to have you here, and obviously for those that are in and around our CBD, Cunningham Construction. So if you're looking for renovation or construction, make sure you give them a call. But really appreciate you coming in. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Guys.
Appreciate it.
Heartfelt thank you to Edward and Laurie, and you can find this podcast along with others at uniquelynelson.co.nz and talknelson.co.nz and on Spotify. Just look for Uniquely Nelson. Thanks for tuning in. Don't forget to join us next time for more from Talk of the Town. This is Chris Butler, Simon Duffy signing off. Until next time, Nelson.
Stay uniquely Cunningham. I got it right. We always have this argument into this.
What did Richie used to say? Anyway,
No,
what
were
did the Fonz used to say?
Hey, uniquely Cunningham. Hey. Do you remember that show?
No,
Okay, there we
We
go.
know the reference, but yeah. Well, it was not in colour, so we